The South African and African creative realm has really come to its own over the past few decades, so much so that the whole world is looking to Africa for inspiration, answers and guidance. For this week's episode, we're coming to you from the Everard Reed Art Gallery in Rosebank, Johannesburg, to explore the world of fashion, art and dance. We speak to the visionaries and thought leaders that are at the forefront of African creativity. I'm your host, Ayanda Tabete, and this is Africa Modern. Coming up on the show this week, we're exploring the world of fashion design with the founder of HerRitual.
HerRitual is a celebration of women.
And then we take a look at dance as a form of expression.
The reason why I even started dancing was just because I was really fascinated by the science of how it happens.
And then to finish things off, we're catching up with creatives by chatting to award-winning fine artist Mawande Zenzile.
There's a certain stereotype that are associated with art from Africa and what we should make and what we shouldn't make.
Not only is art a form of self-expression, the clothes we wear are too. What we choose to wear introduces us to a room before we even say anything. The process of choosing what to wear is in itself a ritual. Call it an act of self-love. Tekofata Sitole talks to us about her new line and how it strikes a balance between style, comfort, and a sense of self.
I'm not a fashion-orientated designer. I'm not driven by trends. I just love making clothes and working with fabrics, creating so I can connect to my wearer. My brand was also in a way inspired by me and my journey. It was in my third year of studying. I had to deregister to actually focus on my spiritual life. I have a coding, so I had to drop out to go connect to my spiritual self. So for me, after that, I remember with my third year collection, everything just changed. There needed to be some kind of purpose in everything I do. It became a case of I'm not now just designing to make pretty clothes anymore. There's got to be a story that I'm sharing within all the pretty clothes that I make. HerRitual is a celebration of women, just celebrating the power or the force that is in and makes a woman. I feel like in times that we live in, so many things are just getting lost and people, women are undermined, discriminated against, abused, killed and whatnot because we are somehow seen as weak, but I feel like all that strength is carried within our softness. I mean, we are nurturers, we are life givers, and my brand just aims to celebrate that, empower her, make her feel comfortable in her own skin size, just continue encouraging her to feel comfortable being herself, being her, whatever that means to her. What inspired the name HerRitual is just considering all the seriousness of actions and ceremonies that one considers to actually better their lives or better everything about themselves, whether it's an action of self-empowerment, self-appreciation, self-love, self-discovery, just anything that helps you in the road of growing and evolving. I mean, I draw a lot of my inspiration from nature. And by nature, I don't necessarily mean just copying what it looks like visually, just the feel and the vibe of everything else that's around me, different elements of nature. So my style is very minimalistic, but yet still very chic and expressive. I like working with natural hues, it's not, and natural fibers also, considering more natural methods within my aesthetic. It has a touch of lagin, but very easy, flowing, relaxed style, stuff that you can easily like dress up and dress down. It's just, yeah, comfortable wear, like ready to wear, but comfortable, ready to wear. Like I use natural fibers more, or I try to incorporate a lot of natural fibers, because I do know that at least one day the earth will take it back, or will consume it back. I'm not necessarily using 100% natural fibers, but I feel like that's the direction that I want to take HerRitual. So my collections normally have a certain theme or a message that they try to convey, whether we'll be focusing on more like on self-love, self-appreciation, growth. Like there'll always be like a certain topic, and really this also goes back to, at that moment, what's inspiring me, or what am I learning about myself, or what do I feel like, hey, if somebody else hears, it will also make a difference in their lives. So there's a message, but the style, the design aesthetic is very simple, very chilled, still minimal. So my current pieces right now, I'm working on a collection. The idea of it is to, for pieces to have like multiple functions, or dual functionality rather. And basically the message continues. There's a lot more to celebrate and less, like, and being comfortable with yourself, and knowing that really all the strength you need kind of like lies within you. It's a capsule collection, meaning it's like pieces that you can like interchange and wear together, and still like they work together very well. We have jumpsuits in the collection, we have dresses, very simple, lazy, comfortable wear. We have like harem pants, harem-inspired jumpsuits. We have quite a lot of interesting pieces that one can actually play around with. The fabrics that I prefer working with, or I enjoy working with rather, linens and cottons, because really they are very easy to work with and sew and cut. It's not really a mission. Like, it's either you love or hate them. I mean, we all know linen creases very easily. Natural fibers actually like crease natural very easily, but also it's just going back to what HerRitual really stands for, like staying true to my aesthetic. Staying connected with each other is what gives HerRitual, or rather what makes HerRitual African. Celebrating each other and empowering each other, and being willing to fix each other's crowns, staying together and like celebrating humanity, like you know, is what makes it.
Listen, getting ready is a form of ritual indeed. Absolutely stunning outfits. Now don't go anywhere, because after the break, we're speaking to renowned local talent from the Johannesburg Ballet Company about dance as an art form and freedom of expression. Dance is the art form in which human movement becomes the medium for sensing, understanding, and communicating ideas, feelings, and experiences. Dance has its own content, vocabulary, skills, and techniques that need to be understood in order to become proficient in the art. We caught up with renowned local talent Thabang Mabaso of the Joburg Ballet. Check this out.
So I started dancing when I was about 16. I joined the National School of the Arts as a drama student, and I remember the one day I was walking through the school, I then saw dancing, well, ballet per se, for the first time. I then sort of was compelled to do it. I really thought this is something I should figure out because I was interested in the science of it all. So I then started training myself. I did this with ballet for beginners books, ballet for dummies books, in which I would get from the library, because obviously it's an art school. It's got all the disciplines. I've seen you can get music books and so on. I then trained myself. The company then opened a school, what was the South African Ballet School. Joined that, a Russian man came and started teaching. The reason why I even started dancing was just because I was really fascinated by the science of how it happens. So I remember the very first moment in which I've seen it, I saw somebody turning. And I mean, obviously the questions come to mind, how is this person not getting dizzy? How are they staying on balance and all of this? When men do all these big lifts and flip people in the air and all of this, and they're not very big guys. So I really was interested in the science of it all. And I wanted to figure that out. I wasn't in the first place very interested in being in a show and the whole thing of expressing oneself. It really was the science of it. And then after that, I thought, once I started training myself, I started wanting to implement it in somebody else, sort of to teach it to somebody else. I joined the Joburg Ballet in 2012. I went into its aspirant program and I've worked through ever since then, and I'm still dancing now. And I teach for the Joburg Ballet School itself. I think the act of creating is very important for human beings, and it's something that's very satisfying. And I also love the fact that the thing really relies so much on precision. It relies so much on being at a high standard, but I think is also it's much closer to my personality and how I am, like doing things in a certain order. Things must be in a certain way, and things must have a certain standard and all of that. And then, quite overall, the complete beauty of the thing. I mean, one should come to a ballet and really see it. It's a very beautiful thing. Ballet is a very traditional art form. And how do we modernize it? I think first that whole question is that I believe that tradition is important, and that all of the big major classics that are basically part of study of the classical repertoire should stay, because they're important to keep the tradition alive. The thing evolves itself almost naturally. Every generation sort of brings different types of dances. So the sort of aesthetics of what the body is supposed to look like is very different. It changes year to year. So it almost keeps itself modern in certain ways. The stories that are being told change. I mean, obviously in Sleeping Beauty, you're told stories of the aristocracy. We don't necessarily have that now, because that's what sort of was happening in the time. In the 60s, then people started staging ballets closer to what was happening around in the 60s, you see. So the thing does modernize itself. The technique stays the same. The choreography, yes, becomes more varied because, well, obviously, as a generation, we sort of come up with our own steps, ways of connecting steps and all of that. But all I think then the art needs to do, tell some of the stories of the modern people, in which, I mean, I'm lucky to work with the Joburg Ballet, who have done that quite extensively. I mean, we've set ballets in Johannesburg, but at the same time, that the art needs to be preserved with its traditions, including all the old classics. Because, again, for some reason, these ballets were choreographed in such a perfect way that people are still watching Swan Lake as what Swan Lake was about 100 years ago. It's like, I mean, when you get a bag from your grandfather, that one leather bag that keeps going down the generations, but it's because something is just made so well. The face of what the dance companies look like is not the same. And then it went through a period where everybody got terribly skinny. And you know, being a ballet dancer means this very skinny person. I mean, we've gotten into sort of a time where people are looking a more sporty, more athletic. People are going for the look of looking healthy. People must have muscle and people must be toned. I mean, in the past, you didn't have many people of color also participating in the ballet field. But now, I mean, you've got quite a big surge of that now. So at the moment, I think it's a very exciting time to be involved in classical ballet in Africa, or South Africa. Because one, it's been opened up to a lot of people, so a lot of now very, very different people get to participate in it, which is very, very exciting, because you have very exciting sort of different artists that could bring a lot of choreographies in, different stories and so on. Joburg Ballet, as it sits today, is getting a bigger name internationally as to what it is. I'm opening us up to the world, and also in a sense, our audiences are changing as to the types of people that are coming to the ballet. The whole growth of a lot of dancers of color coming through is important. For myself, I had people such as Kitty Petler who were there, Andile Nglovu, so many of these dancers which were there for me to sort of look up to. And they've been coming at a steady rate. And I think that is very exciting. It's important to note, television came and gone. You have sport and all of these things, all came and gone, but one thing stayed constant, was always the ballet.
Thabang is a real master at his craft, and what a pleasure it is to witness his process. It's time now for a break, but don't you dare go anywhere, because after this we are chatting to award-winning fine artist Mawande Zenzile. You don't want to miss this. I absolutely love this space. It's just such a sacred space in a bustling Johannesburg, a feature of old and new contemporary art, as well as international and local artists, but still keeping really true to the African context. Beautiful. Everard Reed is Africa's oldest commercial arts gallery. Established along a dusty street in the young mining town of Johannesburg, the gallery celebrated its centenary year in 2013. Evolving within the continent's economic powerhouse, Everard Reed has since its inception been associated with preeminent artists working in Southern Africa. Throughout the 20th century, a large proportion of South Africa's most important paintings and sculpture graced the interior of the gallery in central Johannesburg. In the dynamic contemporary era in South Africa, Everard Reed is at its core a gallery dedicated to exhibiting paintings and sculpture by South Africa's finest modern and contemporary artists. The development of young artists' careers is also a crucial component of the gallery's mission. After 50 years in the city centre in the late 1970s, a new gallery was built to house Everard Reed on Jellicoe Avenue, Rosebank. This building has since become a celebrated icon of South Africa's postmodern design. Multiple award-winning fine artist Mawande Zenzile has completed residencies all over the world, really flying the South African flag high. He's a Xhosa artist that loves sharing the parables of his culture and his identity as a human with the world. His art is not restricted to one form. He goes from painting canvases to tinted fabrics and sculptural pieces. Let's check him out.
My name is Mawande Zenzile. I'm an artist. I make objects. I grew up in Eastern Cape. I was born in Eastern Cape, but I also lived part of my life in Cape Town. Art for me began when I was still small in the Eastern Cape. We We used to do ceramics. We also did some doodling drawings. When we're out in the field, heading kettles, I'm not exoticizing, but it's the truth. We used to make cows out of mud. I grew up also watching a lot of cartoons, so I used to copy them. And that's how, it all began. I would say courage, mystic, knowledge. The human problem, suffering, lack of empathy, compassion, politics, spirituality. So for me, those all fall under the idea of the human problem. I think the best comment, I would say, they only take place in my studio. Even though I'm born and bred in Africa, but it's difficult to locate my work specifically limited to the understanding the framing of being an African artist. Also, has been a problem for me, something that I've been trying to navigate, in my thinking and practice, because there is certain stereotypes that are associated with art from Africa and what we should make and what we shouldn't make, So I've been trying to negate this framing most of the time.
Well, it's been so fun taking you through this week's episode. Join us next week as we continue to explore the creatives that call Africa home. Let's continue the conversation on social media using the hashtag #AfricaModern. Until then, I'm your host, Ayanda Tabete, and this is Africa Modern.